My mom just had like a really violent boyfriend.
You have to forgive me. I'm getting a little emotional.
Don't forget how to love.
Wow.
He played Russian roulette.
I had a buddy of mine who was getting ready to commit suicide.
And I see this gun, a laser pointing at my forehead. And my mom saying, no.
Hey everyone, welcome to Melding Minds. I'm your host, Clarence Abercrombie. And today I am joined by Wendy Rios. She is a mother, chef, and she's been married for 3 years to her husband during the COVID era.
Yeah.
So that must have been tough.
I just signed papers.
Tell me more about yourself. You're a chef, right? How did you get into that?
Well, I think, I've always said this and you hear it all the time. Things happen for a reason. And my first job was at a fast food place, In-N-Out. And I was there for the longest. I had my kids. I was pregnant while I was there, still working there. So
wow.
They ate that while they're in there. And they love it now, too, surprisingly. But anyways, I strayed away from that. I had a plan, but I went to the bank and they denied some loans. And they told me, you know what, you need to have this much sales. And I'm like, whoa, okay, I need to get on that. But I'm thinking, I want to actually learn how to cook. I want to learn like the history of it all, not just sweets, because I could have gone just pastry school.
Yeah.
And I just went into culinary school. I loved playing around with food. I remember watching Martha Stewart. That would comment a lot on PBS. And, PBS used to have a lot of other cooking channels as well. But I remember trying to play around with that. We didn't really have those ingredients at home, really. Yeah. So I kind of was like, okay, maybe later on. In my home, we did grow up eating traditional Mexican food, although I didn't really look at it as, okay, it's really, because I guess as kids now, and I see my kids, they don't really, you don't really appreciate it until you're older.
Yeah, that's right.
What you have. So, I'm like, okay, I'm eating all this. And later on, I realized, okay, I have been eating like some exotic stuff because I saw it in shows. And I'm like, okay, people get grossed out about this, but I like it. I know that, there's this other foods to discover. I also have practiced some discipline. I didn't know it was discipline then. It was, let's say, the idea came about like, how people give up for Lent 30 days.
Yeah.
So I would stop drinking for 30 days or I would give up something. But what I've discovered around those realms and maybe around when I had my kids, I'm still talking around that area. I was starting to read self-help books. I would go to the library and I would get stacks of those. I just loved reading. And right now, I guess I didn't realize that I had been building myself up like with that self-help area.
With that journey, yeah.
Yeah, all that was a journey, and I didn't realize that has been something that everything that I know that I'm trying to teach my kids is everything, just little snippets. You're going to forget here and there, but there's going to be moments where you remember like, oh crap, I read that before, if you're going to forget about it, you're going to make that mistake and you're going to be like, oh, I should have. Kind of lost my place, sorry.
No, it's fine. So you were talking about how you were going through a kind of period of transition where it sounds like there was some issues with drinking, and then you started reading self-help books, and then they really started to help.
I liked, I did start drinking at an early age. And I don't know, I think that was just kind of natural around like the neighborhood kids that we used to hang around with. It was just, just things that we did. I guess I started drinking before everybody else did.
Yeah.
I don't drink anymore. I feel like not because I had a problem, just because I feel better being more, sober and more conscious.
More
I guess
clear-headed.
that's the point of what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
Is being more conscious, because I think a lot of us have traumas or histories that we don't deal with typically, and sometimes, unfortunately, like those traumas, they're just so locked in. And in adolescence, like if we experience them, I think we don't really think about our automation of what we're actually choosing to do because of what we're kind of just, taught when we're younger, what's okay, and then later on we get to choose, because we know, I think our intuition's like, that's good or bad. But I think we kind of do stuff unknowingly because we want a reaction or we want some attention. But I think that's the same kind of ordeal, right?
Yeah.
And I think I did experience some traumas, like when I was younger, and so in turn, I did get I would get a little angry sometimes. So there, I see it now that when we're angry, I think it's like a energy that we just need to get out. And I'm sorry I'm jumping back and forth.
No, that's completely fine.
And the last 2-3 years, I have been getting some treatments, some MFR treatments. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's myofascial release. And what that is, it's sort of pseudoscience, but it has been studied by some scientists. My friend wrote, she has this practice that she does. I was kind of skeptical about it just because it's not really something that everybody kind of agrees on.
Yeah.
But I believed in that idea. So I was like, why am I? Let's just try it. A massage feels good. Let's just go intentionally and see what this is about. And so she showed me this video of, it's on YouTube, and it's about this polar bear that gets tranquilized. I don't know if it was that study itself.
Yeah.
And they go down, and what happens to this polar bear is that it starts shaking. It shakes off, I guess, a trauma. The things that we don't deal with kind of fester if we don't kind of go and deal with it. Say it's a problem, like I guess with love and understanding like where it came from. And if anything also in the past, because sometimes we can kind of stay in that. I believe that, just kind of moving on is how we can do that, is just kind of practice being in the moment and being mindful. And I feel like right now is a great opportunity to kind of talk about and teach that, because there's so much going around and everybody's walking around angry. Everybody's like, distracted, and they don't know it. And they don't know that they're angry. They don't know how they're talking. And it's like, okay, everybody needs to chill out. How can they do that? We need to be mindful. We need to see how we're talking. We need to see that we actually need to talk to each other, because even my kids don't, they don't go out as much as like our generation did. And in a sense, they were trying to take me in, and I'm trying to push them out now. So I feel like there's a shift in what's going on around the world. And I feel because we're viewing everybody in a platform in the same way, that sometimes we just need to shut it off and kind of return to ourselves and see where we are, because we do have that intuition, but sometimes we are our worst enemy. Not because, and we don't trust ourselves because we're bad people. We don't trust ourselves because we get blinded by everything that we hear or see. And then our ego kind of just stops us from reaching our potential. And that potential can just honestly be simply love. And it'll be returned back. And I know I'm talking great big, like, the world needs peace a little bit more, or world peace, but why not? Like, take a break every now and then, like digital detox.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to be a big thing. I think it's happening now. September 22nd. I think I don't know who they're going to do, like, I think it's different countries are having like a digital detox day.
Oh, wow.
I think they're having gatherings too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is good to hear.
Yeah. No, I haven't heard that, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you bring up some really good points about how we are not as connected.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that's come up in the podcast
like
over and over and over again, is basically that we feel isolated. We don't feel like we're connecting with people. And I think that gets at the heart of it, right? Is that we're distracted.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about that, when you're talking about like with your kids and trying to pass that on to them, right? Trying to teach them as a mother, what are you trying to get through to them?
I want them to believe in themselves. Because I feel like a lot of what they see, they're kind of being influenced. We're all being influenced. Marketing gets to me. I'm like, I didn't want that. And, so I want to teach them. I want them to learn how to be sure, that's what they want. Yeah. That's what they want to do. And in the end, not to be perfect, not to focus too much on being perfect, because we all make mistakes. We're human. And also allowing yourself to make mistakes, because how else are you going to know how it's going to be? Because I tell them to go for it, because you don't know if that's what you're going to like. You're young enough,
Yeah.
So I want them, even if they make the mistake, they could just kind of hurdle over that. Because I've been in dark places, and it's just the thought of them, just, I don't want them to be, Yeah. And I feel like in this world, I guess, if you don't understand that there's so much going on,
yeah,
and that we're like literally overstimulated, because I don't think anybody's viewing it like that. Yeah. They're like, well, why don't you take the iPads away? I'm like, well, it's integrated. My kindergarten just started school and she needs a laptop. She's doing homework on a laptop. Yeah. I'm like, oh, yeah, we're there. Yeah. So I think it's time to teach them how to be off the screen and just going back to our roots. And I think, like, as a whole world, we're trying to, because we see everything in our history too, we're trying to question it. We're questioning it. I think there's been some adjustments in the school system too. They've been changing, how they talk about things.
You said something earlier that I'd like to go back to, just because I'd like to understand what you mean. So you talked about that you were in some dark places. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that?
Well, let's see. I've gone through some stuff when I was younger. And I don't know when I realized it. Maybe high school or something like that. That, okay, I knew my household was crazy. My mom's going to hate me if she sees this, but, we kind of get, like I said, we kind of have our normalities growing up, and we get to choose, later on. But I think the things that happen, we kind of either feel sorry for ourselves, and we're like, no, we kind of get mad, like, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Type stuff. I don't know if I want to get into that because it's just so. And I also feel like it's not even that bad, at the same time. My mom just had like a really violent boyfriend.
Yeah.
And it was like some really like, like honestly, like some movie stuff. It was like a movie set. Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of times where it's like, what? It threw me out of my psyche a lot.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think, I don't want to skip through it. I'm trying to think of like where I can talk about it. I'll say it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been some things that has happened, and it's been random too, because we don't really know. I think, I've gone to many funerals. I think the first funeral that I went to was my brother's friend. He played Russian roulette. And at a young age, I'm like, what? Okay. You're like, okay, nobody
Nobody actually does that. Yeah.
Yeah, kids joke around with, or whatever. And it's like, yeah, somebody did actually play that and won. And I think I was like 7 or 8
Yeah.
when I went to that funeral. I don't remember who it was. But, yeah, my brother had a very a different background. And so, I mean, he was out on his own with that. But with all the other stuff that happened, it was mainly like just that one guy that was around. And it was a lot of violent stuff that I couldn't do. And I think in turn that maybe almost like a vigilante, because there's been moments where one time I was driving and I saw this guy like choking out this girl. I kid you not.
Wow.
And I like just, I would try to stop it. I called it in and I just did everything I could. And I don't know where they went.
Yeah.
And so anyways, there was other times, but it's like I felt like then I couldn't do anything.
Yeah.
I think now I can. That's made me who I am. Type stuff.
Yeah.
But the one scary moment that I mean just triggers me, I guess, like, is that there was like helicopters, a SWAT team that just kind of rummaged into our house, and there was a lot of noise, I remember. And I walked out of the room and I walk in the hallway and I'm trying to see what's going on.
Yeah, naturally, right?
And I see this gun, a laser pointing at my forehead. And my mom saying, no, she's just a baby. I froze because I did not know what was going to happen next.
Wow.
I mean, I think about it then. And I'm like, fuck, that was scary. But like growing up, I'm like, nothing happened.
Yeah.
But, think about it now, I guess, because I have kids. I'm like, whew, that was so close. His like finger was right there on the trigger.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Or I don't know,
Yeah.
But nothing happened. Bad guy's gone.
Yeah.
We moved on. I was fine without, boogeyman around. But other than that, I do remember my dad coming in around when he was still kind of around. And I think my dad came unannounced. This was the 90s. There wasn't really any phone calls. There's just
yeah.
And he's like, let's go. And I was so like in a fork, because I was like, okay, I live here. My dad wants me to go. I didn't know about it. Does my mom know about this? And in turn, I think my dad got mad at me because I like was scared of what my mom's boyfriend was going to say. I didn't know what to do. So I think he left. You get me?
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think he thought that I chose sides.
Yeah.
To be honest. And but that was that. To be honest, my dad.
Yeah. Do you still talk to him?
So honestly, the last time that I talked to him was when I was, or heard of him, was when I was like 8 years old. He sent a bike through the mail back then, and that's the last thing I received from him. There wasn't really anything else. And he disappeared until I turned 30 years old. He kind of came back, found me on Facebook. You know, technology kind of works in its ways. But at that time, I had a different last name than what I was born with. So I think he found, like, my sister. I was Cooper before Rios. So, I mean, like, I think, you know, we're also given a name as well. You know, we're given our language. We're given everything, you know. And anyways, we're thrown into this world and with our set of rules that we go with those training wheels. We either like take them off or like we kind of just go, you know what I mean?
You'll have to forgive me. I'm getting a little emotional myself. So I recently had a conversation with my mother. Mm-hmm. It's actually how I started the podcast, was a conversation with my mom that I should have had a long time before, but I didn't. And my father was abusive to her. Yeah. And I didn't even know it. She didn't share it with me. Oh, my gosh. And
oh my God, I don't know what swears. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
well, I mean, you wouldn't. Yeah, that would be because it feels. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. God. So yeah, it's one of those things. She wanted to protect my ability to have a relationship with him that was unique from her relationship. Mm-hmm. But as I hear your story, I reflect and go, you know, I could have existed in an environment where I felt that kind of uncertainty and fear as a child. Mm-hmm. I'm super grateful that I didn't, but hearing what it's like from your side, like I can't help but connect to it. Mm-hmm. And I think that there are probably other people going through that as well who maybe feel a little alone. And I think that you talking about it is huge.
It's very vulnerable. It's very hard. And I'm not going to lie, it's very hard to talk about this with my mom because I don't want to say that it's denial, but I don't think she wants to hear that she did something wrong because I think that's how she takes it. Yeah. She's like, sorry, I did everything wrong. Yeah. But I'm like, it's not like, I think at this point I want her to understand too that I'm in a better place. Yeah. I think she's still worried about, you know, how I feel. I know I fucked up. I know I fucked up a lot when I was younger. I did a lot of numbers and stuff like that. And I think I didn't think I was going to get emotional. I was like, don't cry.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. I'm over here crying as well. So,
yeah. So, I mean, I think I caused it. I made her worry. You get me? Yeah. It's almost like a thing that just kind of just... like she got used, you know, it's almost like a habit and it's like, no, it's different. You get me? Yeah. So, I think more now it's like more action. Cause I think maybe recently I've had a recess because I stayed home, for a bit, after I had my daughter. Always worked, and I was like, you know what, I want to try this for a little bit, not knowing that the whole world was going to shut down for COVID and everybody stayed home. And so I don't know. I think I like working. I think that I was trying to do something that I wasn't really used to doing, and I'm like, I'm here, but we have abilities, you know, that we need to exercise and we need to get to. But that was a nice little recess, but it also put me into like, okay. Because I think nobody talks about staying at home too with that funk. What happens when that funk kicks in? Because you kind of cycle in the next day and the next day. And if you don't move yourself, like you kind of start getting stuck doing the same things. If not, that's what your mental is like. I'm doing the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
So I think it's good to kind of self-care and kind of, I think what has helped me is meditating.
Really?
Yeah. My first therapist suggested that.
Yeah.
He actually put me into meditation and right there. And that has helped me. And in turn, yoga has helped me as well. Because I feel like a lot of that needs to move out.
Yeah.
And I think the moving meditation, and if it's not yoga, I mean, meditation and working out, just kind of just, I think the whole endorphins and just detoxifying.
Yeah.
And in general, just kind of being intentional with that, letting go.
You know, I actually know a YouTuber who does meditation, stuff like that. It's like 15-minute meditations. Her name is Rays of the Divine.
Okay.
You should check her out if you're into meditation. It's definitely worth a listen. I've just recently got into it myself. And the shorter meditation is perfect for me. You know, there's some people who can do it for hours, but for me, I'm like, I just need to kind of have some time to recenter myself and just kind of feel present in the moment before I'm ready to take on my day. Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice. It's like a little mini vacation from, you know, everything that's going around. And I think it's just necessary because it's like, just kind of stand still and see where you are. If anything, it's just kind of like just taking a nap and going back to it, you know?
Yeah. So there's a question I ask on the podcast of every guest. What is a difficult conversation that we should be having as a community that we are not having? And where do you think that conversation should start?
I think the conversation that we're not having is, oh my gosh, just literally this, just having a conversation.
Really?
You know, yeah. I think, I don't know if it's because I read into like the old world stuff. I'm so attracted to that and I've been studying it. And there's this old Greek philosophy that you kind of create like this gathering, this it's like this hosting kind of ordeal. I forgot what the whole thing was, but it's to treat others with respect and very welcoming when they come in your home. And it's almost what that rings to me is to kind of just, you know, remind yourself to be friends with people and to actually reach out and don't be afraid to actually commingle and conversate with people, because I guess it starts at home too. I tell my kids this. I do tell them this. I tell them, you know, talk to people because you don't know what they're going through and they might need a conversation.
Yeah.
It might not even be what you said. It might just be a conversation, having a conversation with somebody.
Just to feel connected.
Yeah, exactly. That might give them an idea. You know, who knows what that'll spring about. You know, it's just, who knows? It's just, I feel like just be trusting, more loving. Because I think the world is, like, I feel like it feels like a scary place for everybody. Because everything's so exposed, I think. But I guess to remember yourself, and so that way you can believe in yourself, that you are part of this world and what you do matters.
Yeah. I had a buddy of mine who was getting ready to commit suicide. He had like purchased the gun.
Mm.
There was like I think a 10-day waiting period. No, I think it was 2-day. It was a 2-day waiting period for him to get a gun. And in the time frame, he walked by one of his buddies, and his buddies is like, "Hey man, how you been? I know you've been going through a tough time." And he was like, "Man, I don't know. I'm struggling, but it's fine." And he was like, "I'll tell you what. Let's go grab dinner and let's just talk." And he was going to kill himself literally that day.
Yeah.
But then was like, "Well, I told this person I was going to have dinner with them. So I'll wait until after I have the dinner with this person." And again, after their conversation, they wanted to hang out again and again. And then it just ended up getting to a point where he was able to get through it.
Yeah.
By having that conversation.
Yeah.
And it's really rare to meet somebody who is that close to doing it, who didn't go through with it. So I was very curious. I was like, "Dude, tell me everything."
It's not that bad.
Yeah. Tell me everything. And what it seems like, what it seems like, what I settled on from the conversation is that people need to feel like other people genuinely care about them.
Yeah.
Like that they matter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like technology is more dangerous too now for these kids, adolescents. That's what scares me too. And it's like, oh my gosh, your minds are so young.
Yeah.
Yeah. All this stuff's fake in a sense,
Yeah.
You just see the prettiness of it, like the non-mistakes and stuff. So, yeah.
Do you think we have a responsibility in that to balance it out for them?
I think, and I mentioned it earlier, I think we're going through like this shift of like the whole world. I think, because I think we're running off of things that were like 500 years ago type stuff. And I think because of all this advancement, I think we just kind of need to shift gears a little bit.
Yeah.
And just kind of get in tune like with ourselves more.
Yeah, it seems like the technology came really, really fast.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have an opportunity to decide how we were going to interact with it.
Yeah.
And so it basically has just lent itself to like the darkest,
we don't know
the
what to
darkest
do.
parts of us. Yeah.
And I thought it was just me, but I'm learning with my kids. Like I used to be like, what are these? Why are you watching YouTube videos? Then I realized everybody's watching YouTube videos,
Yeah.
But it kind of benefits because sometimes we want to know how to do something and it's been helping.
Yeah. It's like the new book.
Yeah. They don't need any books anymore. I like books. I like physical stuff.
Yeah.
I like old world stuff. So I think old world stuff too believes in life and death. They and I think in order to appreciate life, you have to see the truth that there is death as well, and then one day we're going to meet that, and just to kind of be intentional, or really be intentional in how we live.
Yeah.
Because it matters what we do to other people, especially when we have kids. It's like I have that filter,
Yeah. If there was one thing that you could tell your kids that you'd want to like live on forever in the interwebs, yeah, what would it be?
Don't forget how to love. Yeah. Don't forget how to love. And treat everything with love, and as long as you're breathing, you have, this one time. I know it says YOLO, and I remember that. I remember once hearing that that's kind of wrong to hear it like that or to say it like that, but you live every day. You have every day that you're living.
Oh, wow.
To appreciate.
And with that, Wendy, I want to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And I really appreciate you being vulnerable and open about all the things that you talked about today. I'll be honest, I learned a lot from you.
Yeah.
I did. Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot to teach. It's weird.
Yeah, you do. You do. And I hope that you are blessed beyond anything I can imagine. You're a beautiful person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Guys, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.